Park in Fayetteville. And it is the cleanup hitter, Carly Godwin, against Robin Herron, who retired the first last inning to bring home Megan Delgadillo for the 5 combined hits between these two. And it stays that way on a line drive to Wyckoff in right field.
But that walk is what started it.
And it's emblematic of what happens when the stakes get higher, when there was a lot of wiggle room there, and what ended up being a 10-0 win in 5.
Opportunities.
2 balls and a strike to Claire Tim, who's 0 for 1, flat out to left field. Winner of this game plays in a regional final tomorrow and will need to win just 1 game to move on to Super Regionals. And then the loser will play an elimination game later on today following our second game between Indiana and St. Louis.
Well, and this is an important game to win. I think to get into that winner's bracket and only have to win 1 tomorrow, because you know that if something falters and you did lose, you still have another opportunity, right? And if you lose, you obviously have to claw your way back to get there tomorrow. But I think between these 2 teams, they both know what's at stake.
And if you win, you're the more well-rested team going into action tomorrow, too.
Well, it just puts more pressure. You know, I think you might press a little bit, and that idea, coaches know we want to stay relaxed. You want to stay just on aggressive mode, but it does. It might get you on your heels just a little bit.
Oklahoma State got more rest than it wanted coming here. They had 8 days off between a one-and-done appearance in the Big 12 championships, falling against Arizona State. They got away for a couple of days, a retreat that they've done for the last 4 or 5 years. Just the team, a couple hours from campus, a lot of bonding activities there, and then got right back to work, awaiting their fate in the postseason. Now 2 trips to the plate, and Claire Tim, 2 flyouts to the outfield.
Well, Coach Gajewski just talked about just not having as great of a showing at the Big 12 tournament. You know, he just said for some reason we struggle in that, and that retreat has been something that they've looked to kind of reset and refocus and remind them now is a new season completely.
Same exact situation for Talon Edwards as when she came up in the second inning. Godwin and Tim had gone down before her, and she extracted the first walk from Robin Herron on the afternoon. And this time turns it into a base hit out into right field. Oklahoma State's second base hit. See what they can put together here with 2 out in the 4th.
Yeah, Talon Edwards, a junior, has experience at the Women's College World Series, played some left field for them. He's playing third base the past 2 seasons. And so she's an athlete in that middle of the lineup, getting things going for them.
Ball in the dirt, and there goes Edwards into second base. That's a pass ball, charged to the catcher Kennedy Miller. We saw 2 stolen bases last inning. Delgadillo came around to score, and now Worsup could do the same for Edwards at second base. 1-1 game, top 4. Tia Worsup, born in England, moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex when she was 4 years old, and earlier this year became an American citizen going through the testing process. She's not actually had the ceremony yet to be able to do it because she's had to put it off. You know, she's been a little busy this spring, and she hopes she's busy all the way into the 6th month of the year. But it became a really fun team bonding activity throughout the course of the season because they give you, she said, 100 practice questions that you might have to answer. You only get 10 on the quiz they give you, and then you only have to get 6 of those right. And she studied so well that she got the first 6 right and then said, boom, I'm done, I know I passed. That was a close play there at second base on the throw behind from Miller.
And her speed is really a difference maker in the bottom of this lineup for Oklahoma State. seen quite a few balls in the dirt with that drop ball. So behind that plate, Miller, she's definitely got to be a wall, not allowing them to advance any further.
3-2. They'll do it again. And the hitters have done tremendous work getting deep into counts. This is the 11th three-ball count of the game. 6 on one side, 5 on the other. Of really working deep into counts, making the pitchers work. Warsup with a second 3-2 coming her way, and she grazes the bottom side of the ball. She'll see at least 9 pitches here from Robin Herron.
Yeah, good at bat when you're able to foul off those pitches and stay alive. We saw her starting out with a couple swing-aways, but now she's going back to the short game, which is more her expertise.
Popped up. And McDowell couldn't find it in the sun.
And I tell you what, I think in that situation, Kennedy Miller at home plate needs to run and help out her third baseman, because if she's coming from a different angle, I think she's able to see that ball and take it. It was in between both of them. I think she thought McDowell would just have that ball. We saw some issues yesterday with the Sun as well against Oklahoma State.
So another chance for Warsup on what might have been out number 3. She hits it hard to right field, and Oklahoma State takes the lead. Warsup, speed, burning up the base path. She's into third with an RBI triple.
Well, you talk about taking advantage to what is given to you. She knew that that pop-up should have been caught, and if Sun was not a factor, it would have gotten them out of the inning, but instead, she comes with the hard slap, and all she does is get to contact. She doesn't even have to have a full swing. She takes that all the way over right fielder Wyckoff's head. She's playing in because she's a slapper. And that is just a solid piece of hitting in that situation. She is so fast. She didn't even think about it. She was going 3 as soon as she saw that ball over Wyckoff's head. Really good relay. Just the fact that that ball bounced in, she's able to make it in safely.
Like we were just talking about, the smallest of moments where a ball that gets popped up on a deep trip into that at bat, going almost 10 pitches. And so Oklahoma State now has scored runs in successive innings after sending just 7 batters to the plate in the first 2, and both runs have been scored with 2 out. Cowgirls are 3 for 6 at the plate with 2 down. Rachel Hathout with Warsup at third.
And there's just something as a hitter, you know, we saw that long at bat and her able to face so many pitches and foul them off, and then to get away with that dropped ball because of the sun. And I think as a hitter, like in that moment, you're thinking, okay, if it is close, I am going to. And she was able to get that inside pitch and really got barrel on it.
And Hathout out to the left center field. Alley on the run. Reagan Johnson, she can't bring it in. Hathout's into second base safely. 3-1 Oklahoma State. 2 plays in successive at-bats that could have ended the inning and gotten Arkansas to the plate in a tie game, and instead, it's a 2-run lead.
Well, Johnson in center field so quick and got a good jump on that ball. She comes across and she lays out, and it looks like that is going to be a clean catch even though she's going to the ground. But this is why off the bat, as soon as she pops down, that ball is not able to remain in her glove. And as a hitter, that is exactly what you do. You are taking two right off of contact. And I think that if you're Reagan Johnson, you're frustrated right now knowing I had that ball, but you hit the ground hard and it's just enough to knock the ball out of your glove.
I think, Leah, you could see it before she even got up. Because she dives to try and get the ball in her glove. She comes to the ground, and it's almost like she was going to pound her fist on the ground when she has to reach for that ball on the turf, understanding that it just went from a one-run game to a two-run game.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going and you see that she's able to get, she might not have even had to go down to her knees, but I really think it's the left elbow that as soon as that hits, it jars her.
And you remember yesterday, Oklahoma State had a very similar play with Megan Delgadillo diving for a ball in center field. They challenged that and ended up losing that challenge. So after what was more than anything a defensive-focused visit to the circle there for Arkansas, Oklahoma State sends its sixth batter to the plate, Megan Bloodworth. All three of their runs scoring with two out. This is routine to right field. And the inning is over. Atlantic 10 and the Hoosiers waiting their turn. A disappointing start to their postseason yesterday. Had a 4-run lead against Oklahoma State. Gave that up in a 7-run sixth inning. But as there's a lot of ball to be played left in this game, there's a lot of season left because it's double elimination. So a chance to work their way back. But the loser of our next game has their season come to an end. The winner here plays tomorrow and needs just one win then to move on to Super Regionals when the field goes from 64 down to 16. That's off of third base, over to short, and the throw to first. Oh, Edwards, Bloodworth, Godwin, what a trio on the infield.
Well, and yesterday, I feel like the difference maker was the defense for Oklahoma State. They went down with a couple, with 3 home runs actually, but defensively, when they were able to make the plays, they did just that. This situation, hard hit ball down to third baseman Edwards, but I love the fact, and you can see Bloodworth was up the middle, but she comes over, and what a scoop by first baseman Godwin. That really is the finish of that play.
Hardliner center field base hit. Natalia Rijo, she is 2 for 2 out of the number 8 spot. Can't highlight this defense enough though. They ended the game on a double play that was off of Bloodworth's glove yesterday at shortstop, going to second base. And you gotta know when you're playing behind Ruby Malin and you're on the infield, you're gonna be in the action every inning.
Well, yeah, it's so crucial. In this game, they talk about it all the time. It's momentum, and that just fires you up.
Now the question here in the fourth for Arkansas, can they avoid their fate over the first 3 innings, which has been leaving runners on base? They've stranded 5 through the first 3. Gone just 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. 2-0 in favor of Davison.
Yeah, and Wyckoff was able to get that RBI last inning and respond once they went down, and you do like to see that. When obviously you're punched, you punch back, but this situation is really big for them and important for them to respond in this inning with the top of the lineup coming up after Davison. And the struggle at the top of the lineup, really you're seeing it 5 through 9, 11 RBIs. And you know, we did talk to the Razorbacks and they mentioned that was the difference. They feel like this year compared to past years was just the production throughout, on different days, it being different stars, which that obviously is important, but you still need the top of the lineup to be producing.
And through 2 games, or 1.5 games here for Arkansas, 7, 8, and 9 hitters, they are combined at 6 for 13.
And I think you mentioned it, it really is a matter of finding a way when people are getting on base and not leaving them stranded. It's putting hits together and finding ways to bring them around.
Well, we heard it as it pertained to Arkansas giving Oklahoma State chances. The walks coming back to hurt, and it happens here against the 8 and 9 hitters. A single, a walk. You go to Reagan Johnson at the top, who's had 2 very competitive at-bats and is 1 for 2. And this will start now the 3rd time through the lineup here for Ruby Malin this afternoon.
Yeah, and the pressure again is on Arkansas. I think I mentioned like how important it is as an offense to be able to respond, but it's the same. Like defensively, what a big deal to be able to shut them down right after your team goes ahead.
3-1 Oklahoma State. Malin has first and second, 1 away. Best ERA in the country this year for Ruby Malin, the former All-American. On the ground, third base, Edwards over to first. The pressure mounts in that moment with the speed scorching up the first base line. And now 3rd time through the lineup, the numbers will show no matter who you are in the circle, hitters are going to be better against you the 3rd time, so they've got Riley Crandall warming up.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to be able to have her on deck ready to go if these hitters start putting it together and making those adjustments off of Malin as well as she's been throwing.
Arkansas has had a runner in scoring position every inning. 2nd and 3rd, 2 out for Reagan Kramer. Two down, runners off on contact. Base hit could easily tie this at 3. Her biggest supporters out there in left field. Kramer's corner. She'll talk to them between innings. She's not an easy out, but you can't work around her because Bree Ellis waits next. Yeah,
this is absolutely crucial to get Kramer out right now in this situation. You do not want to have to face Bree Ellis.
Not an ideal ratio for Ruby Malin. She's walked 4, struck out 2. 2-2. Stopped by Hassler. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, and I think the country would love to see Bree Ellis, one of the best, if not the best hitter in the entire country off of a top pitcher, Malin, and the bases loaded. We'll see right now if she's able to get Kramer or if they're able to make that happen.
Skied and playable in left field, and it's Delgadillo to put it away. A fist pump to secure a blank. Well, she just earned another, an RBI triple, and then behind her, Rachel Hadhoot delivers with an RBI double to left center field. It looked like it was caught by Reagan Johnson. The ball pops out of the glove, and so it is a 3-1 lead for Oklahoma State here in this winner's bracket game as they come to the plate in the 5th inning. And the other side of that story, too, is what Arkansas has not been able to get done at the plate. They have stranded 7 runners on base and a runner in scoring position in every inning, but just 1 for 8 in those situations.
When you see the offense, just the difference of them exploding, and that's what we saw yesterday against Indiana. They just really, as the game goes on, more at-bats, they start to string it together. They're seeing better pitches. They're putting better swings on it, and I think that's a sign of a good team that makes quick adjustments.
Well, Oklahoma State won almost a third of their games this year when Delgadillo, their leadoff hitter, didn't have a hit. She's hitless today in 2 trips to the plate. Down 1-2 here against Herron.
And yet when she was fielded into a fielder's choice, she did get on base and she was able to steal second and come around to score. So she's still able to use her speed.
She loves playing in Stillwater so much, even though she's from Riverside, California. She says, I got 1 year here, I'm staying. I want to be a Stillwater resident after this.
Yeah, and this hurts. That ball right into that shin.
Kenny Gajewski told her when she came over and transferred last summer, break the door down right away. Let everybody know who you are. She's done that both with her play and inside the locker room.
Well, and she said that if he hadn't told her that, she probably would have come in and tried to fill everything out and see where she fit in. And instead, she felt like she was able to step right into leadership.
And she's aboard for the second time. So the winners of yesterday's games playing in this game, Oklahoma State 5 better than Indiana. Arkansas, the run rule win over St. Louis. A win today, it's a 3 Central first pitch tomorrow. So you're looking at 24 hours of rest, if not a little bit more. And then an elimination game follows, also on ESPN+. The Hoosiers, the Billikens. The loser of that game is done. The winner of that elimination game will face the loser of this game. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, if everything goes according to plan, about 6 Central. The other thing about Megan Delgadillo, too, is she says, I know how to get to people. And in a little bit of a mischievous way, too. I'll poke you, and right when you want to pop me in the nose and tell me to shut up, that's when I'll back off, and then we'll become friends.
Well, they talked about Claire, Tim. They call her Claire Bear, and she's like, I poke the bear. She said, but then I also know when to back off, like you just mentioned. She's able to read people, and I think you need that within a team.
Delgadillo going for her second stolen base. She's got it. That one was a little bit closer than her first.
Well, again, it's not a surprise that she's taking off. She's so quick. And this ball, when you're throwing that and you know you have to be quicker, sometimes mistakes are made. And that ball in the dirt on the hop, I think, is what allows her also to slide in safely.
Hassler takes the 1-1, sends it into right center field. Delgadillo can score on a trot. Hassler has an RBI double. She has knocked in 2 of the 4 Oklahoma State runs.
Well, yesterday it was Godwin and Davis who are behind Hassler, but today it is all Hassler. What a piece of hitting. This ball is belt high, but she's able to stay with that, has a ton of pop, and just over Davison's head at second base all the way to the fence. Stand-up double.
Well, Courtney Deifold, the Arkansas head coach, just came out of the third base dugout, had a question for Phil Friels, the home plate umpire, and if I can guess anything that might have occurred on that play is whether Delgadillo touched third, would be my only guess as to what might be under review on that. And so this is going to get looked at, and we'll get the official announcement here momentarily.
The play at second base of safe is being challenged by Arkansas.
Okay, so not the play at third, but whether Hassler got in safely under the tag. So 2 challenges per team. And so we'll get a look at this and see whether the Cowgirls will retain a runner in scoring position here on the top of the 5th. So everybody gets a chance to regroup. And we'll see whether Hassler, the catcher, who started out with a strikeout against Heron, who got the side in order 1, 2, 3 in the first, got into second base.
When Wyckoff picks up that ball and throws it in, and I don't know if it's something when they put the tag, if she hops up and thinks maybe she lifts her foot, would be the only thing. She had enough time to slide and stand up. And if she lifted her foot up off of the bag.
Yeah, maybe, but what you can't tell is whether the contact between the glove and the calf is occurring because the calf obscures the glove. You need indisputable video evidence to overturn that call. And based on that, you can't make that declaration that she's out at second base.
No, I agree, and I think that's the reason why they're even going to the review and asking.
So Hassler is safe. It appears she'll stay that way at second base. Nevertheless, the lead will be 4-1 in favor of Oklahoma State on top of Arkansas. Replays are not decided here on site. It goes back to a central replay review location. Calls are reviewed there, and then the final decision is relayed back to each of the 16 sites around the country. Tell you what, though, it's a diligent play in the tag to even do that, because often that can be a play that's for naught, and it's more of a formality to make that tag.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think it's even hard to tell if her right heel is touching the bag at the same time. I mean, if it's clearly off.
The call of safe is being upheld. That is Arkansas's first challenge.
So Arkansas has one challenge remaining. Oklahoma State has two. And while that was going on, we just talked about it in the bottom of the fourth, third time through the lineup for Ruby Malin. Robin Herron comes out of the game. And we see Burnham, who we saw yesterday, who was phenomenal. She threw a no-hitter yesterday. And Robin Herron, 4 innings, does not retire a batter here in the 5th. Peyton Burnham, her first collegiate no-hitter yesterday in the 5-inning affair.
Yeah, she was able to pick up her 14th win, and she's somebody that's spinny and can throw to all 4 quadrants. We saw her use a curveball to both sides of the plate, rise ball. She's able to mix in her off speed, and has a lot of composure. Only a freshman, but really solid in the circle with how she's composed.
That's into center field. A pinch runner at second base as Macy Graff came in to run for Hassler, and it's first and third. And on the downside for Herron, her last outing was their SEC tournament finale against Oklahoma. She allowed 4 earned runs in that game and 4 here this afternoon.
Now you get to postseason and you're facing these teams and everybody's prepared and seen the best pitchers, and so you've also got to be at your best and try to find ways to beat hitters, keep them off balance, make sure you're locating everything with break.
So this is a very different situation from what Burnham faced yesterday. Going up against St. Louis out of the A-10 here, Oklahoma State. The runners at first and third, nobody out. Cleanup hitter Carly Godwin, 2 home runs yesterday, 0 for 2 today, and was swinging for the fences on that pitch.
Well, what a situation to come in at this point in the game, up 4-1, and you have 2 runners on, nobody out. I mean, this is the best situation as a hitter to be in.
Godwin squares, ball gets away from Miller, and Davis goes into second base. Did you see that coming?
Well, and that, she squares to try to just move Davis to second to put 2 runners in scoring position, but then you see the ball getting behind Miller. So, I mean, just these little moves, you can start to see some areas that Arkansas really needs to solidify.
Davis with her 9th stolen base in as many tries. And a blast into foul territory down the left field line. And really, that's Kenny Gajewski playing the odds there, where the math says you have a higher opportunity of scoring runs with runners at second and third and 1 out than you do at first and third.
Yeah, and look at that difference of 2 outs. Being able to come up clutch. I mean, when the pressure's on, a lot of times defensively, right, it's in your favor, but then to be able to come through, it really gives you that much more energy with it. And so 4 for 8 with 2 outs, 5 for 7, runners in scoring position.
Over to short. Riho to a knee, secures the ball and secures the out at first base. But a run batted in for Carly Godwin. Oklahoma State has a 4-run advantage.
And that's where you go to using your bench, getting speed on the bases, and a routine ground ball ends up being another run coming across. You put the ball on the ground, gives your team a chance to score that run. Pop fly outs, a lot easier, harder to advance.
And because Amanda Hassler hit that double against Heron and then Graf came in as the pinch runner, that does get charged to Robin Heron for a 5th run on her tab today. This game was scoreless through the first 2, and now Oklahoma State has ripped off 5 runs in the last 2+ innings. Not done yet here in the 5th either. And didn't it seem like yesterday every string Kenny Gajewski pulled, whether pinch runner or pinch hitter, happened to be the right one with the way that game went?
Yeah, it really was. It took the depth of their team and each person coming in and getting their job done. It happened in that 6th inning really was just what changed everything. And it seemed like as soon as they grabbed that momentum, it was nonstop. And sometimes that's all it is. We talked about them going to a retreat and them having this but they started in the beginning of the season needing a fire. What do you need to do to light the fire, to keep it going, and how it takes all of us in that team mentality, and you really saw them do that in the 6th inning yesterday.
Got at least one rally visor going on down in the dugout on the first base side. Claire Tim works her way to a 3-2. Second walk of the inning, 4th taken by Oklahoma State. Well, we are merely one of 16 sites around the country this weekend. The best place to be is on the ESPN app, 7 innings live. Every game, every big moment on the road to the Women's College World Series, only on the ESPN networks. Talon Edwards, a walk and a single today. She scored a run. And these innings have really become elongated. These last 3 scoring frames for the Cowgirls in the 3rd. They sent 5 to the plate. Last inning, 6. And Tim handing it off to Edwards, becoming the 6th batter of the inning. They always like their odds when Delgadillo is in the leadoff spot to start an inning.
Yeah, she gets on base. You know your potential of her coming around and scoring is very high.
Having some trouble locating the drop.
Yeah, you see much different than yesterday. A lot more control going right at the hitters.
2-2, rocketed center field. Johnson to the warning track, and she makes the catch. Rosie Davis had gone a long way from second base to 3rd, tiptoeing her way back to the bag with the hope off the bat that that one might end up in play.
Yeah, and she really should have been tagging on that because she would have been standing up at 3rd, no problem. And then you get a pass ball, you can come across. So in that situation, just got off too far off the bat.
Strike 1 on Tia Warsip, who came through with an RBI triple last inning. (5-1) Oklahoma State, 2 aboard with 2 out, top 5. And it's 2 quick strikes on the right fielder.
And what a triple threat Warsip is. The fact that she was swinging away her last at bat, then went to the slap, and then ends up through a hard slap, taking the ball to the right field fence over Wyckoff's head. And then here she is coming up again in this situation, trying to lay the bunt down.
In the air again, And Johnson has outnumbered 3. Ready for the action. Riley Crandall comes out of the bullpen here for Oklahoma State. She helped save the day yesterday here. And now, as they go through the 3rd time through the lineup, Kenny Gajewski making this move to give a different look to the Razorbacks hitters.
Yeah, she finished out the game so strong for the Cowgirls. And a lot of it is because of her curveball that she's able to locate so nicely. Both sides of the plate, the backdoor curve was working really well yesterday. And then her changeup, she's able to mix that in. And because of that, she keeps a lot of hitters off balance.
Now, it wouldn't be surprising if she goes a couple of innings. We saw Malin maybe come back for the 7th, or like it was yesterday, the score dictates what the pitching looks like. And if the gap stays at 4 runs, or maybe more than that, she finishes out the game and lets Ruby rest for what would be just 1 win tomorrow would be what they need.
I agree with you. I think it's going to dictate what is happening on the field, and if she's able to hold it down, I think you're feeling pretty good with what you saw yesterday. And also what Malin was able to come back and do today. It talks so much about the mental game and what you do after facing failure, and what she felt like yesterday if her team pulled out that win and she was able to be strong in the circle.
Oh, and by the way, we're talking about pitching. It's the best hitter in the country at the plate. Bree Ellis leading off here for the Razorbacks. And so far today, she's walked twice. First inning, she came up with 1 runner aboard. Last inning, Reagan Kramer had walked in front of her. Well, it's been a pretty consistent approach, no matter the situation when they faced her. And now got it to 2-2. How confident is she in a curveball to not miss her spot?
Yeah, I think right now you just continue to zone in and you try to not think about the hitter that you are facing. You're just throwing your best pitch.
And she gets Ellis to swing and miss. Strike 3. Crandall comes in on fire here in the 5th.
I think that just shows where Crandall is at as a pitcher right now. 3-2 count. She goes up and away. And this is something you don't see very often. You're not going to see Bree Ellis chase, but she's probably thinking 3-2 count. She's coming at me this at bat. I'm going for it.
And next batter, Courtney Day. High to right field, and it's on the warning track for Tia Worsup. Day has gone yards 16 times this year, came real close right there. 2 quick outs against the 2 most powerful hitters in the Arkansas lineup.
Well, that was a good swing by Courtney Day on that almost same pitch outside to be able to stay with it, but Worsup with so much speed out in right field got underneath that. And you like to see if this can be a quick inning after you are putting these runs up. I mean, it just says so much for Oklahoma State and how they're playing right now.
Arkansas in the first 4 has not gone down 1-2-3. Just 1 1-2-3 inning in this game, and it was Robin Herron against the Cowgirls lineup in the first inning. Remember, we've had 19 years of this current format of the postseason going back to 2005, and only 3 times at all has a number 4 national seed dropped a game here in this round. 5-1 in favor of Oklahoma State over that number 4 seed Arkansas.
Riley Crandall, I talked about her using both sides of the plate, but locating twice in a row that inside corner, not being afraid to go hard and in to lefties.
Especially against Wyckoff, who really hugs up close to the plate.
Yeah, and who's been hot for Arkansas, you know, swinging it so well. Her last at bat, she got a hit to left field, but yesterday she took it to all fields.
She tied a Razorback record with 5 runs batted in. Danielle Gibson, who's on staff now, the only other Arkansas player ever to do that in an NCAA tournament game. Exactly what the job required from Riley Crandall. 1, 2, 3, and at the end of 5, Oklahoma State up 5-1. And then I think what was really impressive about the way that Kenny Gajewski scheduled this year was to say, we're going to hunt games everywhere. If we're on the road, all these games along.
Team, we've mentioned it, we've talked about it. She's so much more than speed on the bases or that leadoff hitter that gets on a lot. Just her leadership, her example. They talk about her just being a coach athlete. She's someone who knows the game so well.
Former baseball player himself.
That slap, she's moves a little slower through that box, and then it's just chopping her barrel.
And Ellis just has to stomp the bat. For the 5th straight season, they finished 5th in the SEC, and even getting to Supers will be the first time since 2022.
Yeah, and we talked to her about that, and she just said, you know, I know everybody has to ask about this, but this team is different. This is not the same as those teams in the past, and of course that's what you have got to say when talking to your players. And they've just seemed, they feel like one of the main differences, talking to the players as well, is just that in the past they've relied heavily on 1 or 2 players. They feel like that have been lifted this year. They said they feel like everybody's been contributing a lot more. And I think it's just a reminder that, yeah, throughout the season that has been the case, and they've really done some phenomenal things as a team, but then postseason is a new season.
Ella McDowell, it's a long run, hat hoots there. So Riley Crandall has come on in relief of Ruby Malin and set down 4 in a row. And it's 6 straight retired from the end of Malin's outing here to the first 4 batters for Crandall. And Arkansas players told us one to the next that the difference between the 24 team and the 25 team is multiple chapters, but the fact that last year, Bree Ellis will be the first to tell you, it felt like we were playing for ourselves individually rather than as a collective. And they're so much more critical or receptive to critical feedback this year, understanding that I want to be coached, I want to get better, and now is the opportunity here in crunch time to put all that work into practice. Down by 4 runs.
Well, yeah, Coach Deifel told us that she got on this team and she feels like past teams might not have handled it as well, and that really was a factor of why they finished the SEC so strong.
Going to the SEC. Semifinals before they lost to Oklahoma. Wins against Georgia and Tennessee before that in Athens. The worst part about the SEC championship was they didn't actually get to decide a winner on the field because the championship game got canceled due to rain.
Well, and I think you have those moments within teams that you say, like, okay, which type of a season are we going to have? And Coach Deifel said that she was saying to them, we've chosen the hard. We are in the best conference. Like, do you want to do this? And she felt like the athletes, again, took it upon themselves, and they just all of a sudden had like a new mindset together.
Keep it on the infield for out number 2. That's a question that I love to ask teams too, especially at this time of the year. If you were to say there's a before and an after in your season, what is that dividing line? It's different for everybody, but every team always seems to have that moment where they realize, okay, this is going to be a special season, or it's not. What did we do to make it different? Natalia Rijo has done her part today. She's 2 for 2. And has 2 of the 5 Razorbacks hits. Bottom third of the order collectively, 3 for 6 with a walk. After 2 games, collectively almost 2 full games, neither Bri Ellis nor Courtney Day has a base hit. Of course, that doesn't discount the way that Ellis has been pitched to, having drawn 4 walks.
Well, and it's been defense. Courtney Day is hitting the ball hard, but just the speed in the outfield and the coverage, you really got to find ways to beat the defense against Oklahoma State. I think that's what stands out to me so much, is just how sound they are defensively.
Look ahead. Here's, they've got 4 outs to work with. They're not even guaranteed another plate appearance for Bri Ellis in this game, who's number 3 in the lineup. This is the 8th spot. So if Rijo's retired, you only have 9-1-2 coming up next inning. The SEC Player of the Year, Bri Ellis, waiting to make her mark in the 2025 postseason as Rijo continues to foul away pitches from Crandall.
Well, talk about team effort with total team. You know, we're saying how balanced Arkansas is, but Oklahoma State in their win yesterday, it did not look like that start that they had was something they would expect, but the way they responded late in the game, pinch runners and Crandall coming in, it really made a difference. And to me, like, I think that was the story yesterday. Crandall came in and she gave up in the 4th inning, a 3-run home run. But after that, I mean, she absolutely shut it down, and her team eventually came and started putting runs across, pressure on defense. Indiana made some mistakes, and they capitalized, and they walked away with a big win.
Rijo gives this a ride, and it is a home run to right field. Sixth of the year, it's a 5-2 game.
We've been talking about the bottom of the lineup. What an at-bat, what a swing. Italia Rijo going deep to right field, them coming inside. That's the part in that fouling off those 4 balls, but the fact that they come inside and hard and she's able to get her barrel there. She fought, she was seeing it until she got a better pitch, and she got all of that. And you know, if you are Arkansas, that has got to infuse power into, you've got to get that energy and you've got to build off that right now.
Because you've done 2 things. 1, you made it a closer game, and 2, you've guaranteed that Bri Ellis will come to the plate either this inning or next inning. For now, it's a 9 spot with Carly Davison. 0 for 1, a walk, and a ground out. And the game still within reach here for Arkansas. The winner to the regional final tomorrow, where that team will need to win just 1 game to advance to the winner, or to face the winner of the Tucson Regional. So can Crandall recover? Comes back to get it closer in the count, 2-1. Another fly ball to right field. Warsup makes it out number 3.
You don't always hear that.
No, I think it's a great skill to have.
It is.
True story, I couldn't cook anything when I graduated from college. I wasn't bringing a lot to the table. Amanda Hassler sure is, though. She's got her 3rd hit and as many trips to the plate these last 3 plate appearances. What a job for her. Continuing to put the pressure on here, not feeling comfortable with a 3-run lead.
What a good at bat. Keep things going. You just continue to get those good pitches, and base hits up the middle, get yourself on. That's the way you lead off an inning. No lead is big enough.
She is 4 for 8 in the regional. Driving in 3, scoring 2. Rosie Davis gets the bunt down, and the sacrifice is successful to move her teammate into scoring position.
In this situation, they have a 3-run lead, 7th inning, and they still choose to do that. And I think it's so important because I think in big moments now it just takes a base hit, and you have Godwin up, one of your best hitters.
She gives it a ride center field. Tremendous catch. Reagan Johnson, not only to make the grab, but to get the throw back to the infield so quickly that there was no decision for Hassler whether to even try and tag up.
Wow, Carly Godwin got all of that. But the speed of Johnson and the jump that she takes over her right shoulder, she stays with that ball. Beautiful catch in center field.
You can see Peyton Burnham said, yeah, Johnny, that a girl. Because you got 2 Reagans in the outfield, Kramer in left and Johnson in center. So they go by Johnny and Jimmy, respectively, there out on the outfield. Let me get a pinch hitter here, Oklahoma State. Oregon in game number 2. Last year, they beat SEMO in game number 1. Then they lost consecutive games against Arizona and Villanova. Do they have a comeback in them here today?
Well, and in those losses, I think the key was that they were not putting runs across. They failed to hit when they needed to. And that's what you have to have come alive in postseason.
Well, it's the top of the order here, so this is as good as it will get offensively for the Razorbacks. As Reagan Johnson comes up for the 4th time, they bring an extra defender in, Rachel Hathoot from the outfield to play closest to the second base bag. Hathoot, a former infielder at the University of New Mexico, made the move to the outfield this year. And Johnson has reached in 1 of 3 times today. That was a tapper between home plate and the circle in her first at bat.
They've got to be able to try to see your pitch and do what you want with it.
But she hits it almost on a direct line to Tia Warsup out there in left field. And now it's a long run for Warsup, who plays right field. So there she goes all the way. It's almost like the punishment of running foul pole to foul pole, except it's a good thing for her because they're 2 outs away from a win.
Well, she's just so quick and covers so much ground.
There are no guarantees in this game, except for one for the Razorbacks here in the 7th inning, is that Bree Ellis will come to the plate in this inning. Reagan Kramer is due up here, 0 for 2 with a walk. Cowgirls go back to their regular defensive formation. Well, the biggest upset that we saw yesterday was LSU losing at home. Today here are these winners bracket games, and the top seeds, the national seeds so far, have prevailed.
Yeah, I think it's so important you get that first start day one, and then the key is to come back and try to stay in that driver's seat. I think the biggest thing is because it is double elimination, you know you're not out if your team does fall, and Oklahoma State seemingly very close to pulling out a win here and getting that upset that they so badly want. And I think what I think is so interesting too, and really a big part of the story for Oklahoma State, Riley Crandall, if you look at her numbers on the season, she's a 4.07 ERA. She's 6-4, one of those wins coming yesterday. But it's what have you done for me lately? And it's the numbers lately and how she's showing up that I think is going to be such a game changer if they are able to extend their season and get to the winners bracket tomorrow, finish this game out, and then somehow advance.
Pitching depth is such a difference maker, whether you start 2-0, whether you start 1-1. But to be able to have more than one arm that you can reliably call upon can make a difference in your season. And Reagan Kramer has a base hit, trying to get a rally started for Arkansas in the bottom of the 7th inning to bring Bree Ellis to the plate.
Kramer's corner, they're not too excited yet over there for her, but what a piece of hitting right there in this 6th inning. Or 7th inning, excuse me. You're down to a couple outs and you come up clutch for your team to get on base for the best hitter, Bree Ellis, to come to the plate.
Well, even if she hits a home run here, it's still a 1-run lead. If you work around her and she gets on, and what a mighty first hack that was, then you risk bringing Courtney Day to the plate as the tying run. Ruby Malin exited this game after 4 innings. Give a different look. She's ready if needed. But it's Crandall's game right now. And a 1-1 to Ellis becomes 1-2. And the other team getting a run for its money. That was a winner yesterday, and it was also a host, Clemson. They play home at McWhorter Stadium there in South Carolina, taking on Northwestern. Scoreless game, top 7. Ellis struck out last time up. She lays off to get to 2-2.
You have such different demeanors in the circle between Malin and Crandall, but I love it. Such a reminder as a pitcher to just stay within your strength, be who you are, really commit to that. Because she's so much just more calm, you even keel. You don't see a lot of emotion out of her.
But over the course of a long season, everybody knows what they're going to expect when you step into the circle. Three and 2. Kramer over at first base. And it's ball 4. Ellis is fired up because she knows the situation. Courtney Day represents the tying run for the Razorbacks in the bottom of the 7th.
Talk about taking what you are given, and Ellis does just that. Fouls off a couple pitches and then has a good eye, gets herself on with that walk.
So the Arkansas fans are calling the Hogs, and it appears as though the Cowgirls are calling Ruby Malin to come in out of the bullpen to re-enter this game and try and finish what she started.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you just try to change the momentum a little bit, and you got two out. Ruby Malin is really built for these moments.
And the odds tilt so heavily in the favor of the team that wins this game to play tomorrow at 3 Eastern, needing just one victory to be in the Super Regionals. The loser of this game faces the winner of Game 2. That's between Indiana and St. Louis. So Malin in her 4 innings, the most dramatic ending to an inning was in the second. Got a ground ball to third, a 5-3 double play, and that would win the game here if her defense is able to turn 2 behind her. Courtney Day, hitless, second most home runs on the squad this year as well. Goes after the first pitch and on the ground to third, but foul. And with the way that throw went across the diamond from Talon Edwards, it worked out better in everyone's favor there. Not a double play because her throw was one that got away from Godwin over at first.
Well, and you mentioned that. I mean, that ground ball right at the bag, that one just foul. Like you said, that actually might have helped them a little bit.
Today we saw a much more confident version of Ruby Malin relative to yesterday. One veteran against another with Day at the plate. And there's inherent difficulty working against Malin in a spot where a home run would tie the game, but she's primarily a down ball pitcher.
Yeah, she is, and when she gets ahead, she'll go to that rise ball, and it will jump late, but really defensively, she's pitching to her defense with that drop ball. I think about the beginning of the season, Coach Gajewski talking about Ruby Malin and just saying, yeah, she's just a little kind of crazy in every good way. He said, I couldn't coach multiple of you, but I love what I have in you.
2-2 to the gap, right center field and down. Arkansas is going to get at least one run. Kramer scores. Ellis is held up at third, and Day does the job. The throw gets behind to the backstop. Malin backs it up. Ellis scores. The Razorbacks never say die.
What a piece of hitting by Courtney Day. Huge gap shot to right center field. She gets all of that, but it's on the mistake this time. A ball that's thrown from center fielder to second baseman Davis, but it gets underneath Schneidmiller at home. And Malin thinking that the play was over, but the ball goes underneath Schneidmiller. But that's what allows Ellis to come across and score, and you see how fired up they are right now.
So the tying run is at third, still just one away. It's not done yet, but oh, how cruel fate can be after a game that Oklahoma State won yesterday, in part due to big errors by Indiana. Now it's errors that they hope will not be their undoing today. Kaylee Wyckoff re-enters. They've got to bring the infield in. And this has sparked to life a crowd that has been rather placid this afternoon, because Arkansas has never led in this game. to the circle. And Malin gets the Cowgirls within 1 out of a nail-biting victory. But the Razorbacks still have a chance.
What a game right now. Ruby Malin, after giving up that big double off of right center fence, she ends up fielding this ground ball, playing her position, does not throw it too hard. She just tosses it over to first base to Godwin, knowing we just got to get this out, and now I'm 1 out away and can still pick up this win. That's a good response after giving up that ball to the fence.
Razorbacks 2 of 10 with runners in scoring position today. Ella McDowell is hitless, 4th time up. To right field, Worship on the run, ball game tied. There goes McDowell racing for second, and the winning run is in scoring position.
And this place is going wild. They're so excited to see this comeback, this response. Down to your final out and tying up the game. What clutch hitting by Ella McDowell. She takes this ball to right center. Tons of speed in the outfield, but perfectly placed, a double, and brings across the tying run. You see the response by Ruby, knowing that right there, she's frustrated. She just needed to allow her defense to be able to make the play behind her. So much excitement. I love this game. It doesn't matter if you're 0-4. You come up when the game's on the line and you get your team right back in it. That's what it's all about.
Kennedy Miller winning run at second base. McDowell after that double, their second RBI double of the inning. Both of them coming against Ruby Malin, who re-entered here in the 7th after pitching the first 4. It'd be easy to second guess Kenny Gajewski in this moment for taking Crandall out and putting Malin back in, but I think he'd tell you he'd make the same choice 100 more times.
Well, and I couldn't help but think in this last inning, knowing that they were ahead in the SEC tournament against Oklahoma and felt like they had a decent lead, and then they dropped that game because Oklahoma was able to come back. So what a moment to be on the other side of that coin, and now to come up big and get your team right back in it.
The Razorbacks have also displayed an extra level of plate discipline in the 7th inning against Malin. Did not have her best control today. Walked 4, struck out 2. And we are headed to extra innings here in Fayetteville. A wrap. So 6, 7, 8 in the order, starting with Talon Edwards against Peyton Burnham, the freshman, who threw a no-hitter in 5 innings yesterday. High but playable out in right center field for Johnson.
Johnson out there covering a lot of ground. That ball elevated, giving her plenty of time. You do start to wonder, this is where I think home field advantage with the sun and where that sun is different times of the day, knowing how to read those balls and where that sun is going to be hitting.
This would be ideal for Arkansas. Get the Cowgirls 1, 2, 3. Hard to get any more efficient than 2 outs on 3 pitches.
Well, yeah, and having a quick inning like this, if you're able to get that 3rd out right away, really gives you so much momentum coming back to the plate. And I feel like Burnham, she works pretty quick. Yesterday we saw that. I mean, she gets the ball, she gets the sign, she gets back up. Different pitchers have different momentum that they work with, but she's a pretty quick pitcher. She's really in the zone, using both sides of the plate. That one a little bit inside, so nice job by Hathoot to stay off of that. But I love the fact this freshman is able to utilize all of her pitches.
That was a great pitch there too. Hathoot really did all she could with it.
Well, she comes back with that off-speed pitch and she sells it well.
This crowd is ready to burst. And there's a sense of anger as to a couple of those last pitches from this hometown crowd. Wanted to see strike 3, turn it over, bottom of the 8th. Chance to win it. And the 3-2 gets the job done. 3 fly ball outs in the inning. Burnham money for a
across the runs, and I love that it was Ella McDowell in that 6th spot who really was.
And she had a big swing against Riley Crandall.
Yeah, you talking about what sets the table and gets the energy going, and you're right, it was Riho with the long ball.
And she's 4 for 4. The winning run is on base to lead off here in the 8th inning.
Well, we've been talking about the bottom of this lineup. I mean, everybody knows Bri Ellis and they know her name, but big smiles for Italia Riho, and she gets them started again. That big swinger last at bat, she has seen it so well. And right now, she ends up being the winning run if she can get across.
Well, we asked Courtney Deifel 2 days ago, how big is it that Riho has been back this year? She was injured, missed almost all of last year, and she said she is not a flashy player. She does her job. You couldn't be sure how she was going to come out of her redshirt year, delivering in prime time here.
You love to see that for your shortstop, who defensively is such a big part of their game, but sits in the bottom of the lineup. And so for her to have this type of a day, she is a big reason if they're able to pull off this win.
Sacrifice bunt is down and successful. Riho into scoring position, top of the order on the way. Everything coming up Razorbacks right now. Put on a super shift against Reagan Johnson behind Malin to crowd the infield with 5 defenders. Up the middle, 2 away.
And right there you see why that shift is so important. You have the speed of Johnson, and that ball could potentially go up the middle for a hit and the winning run, but because of the shift, they're able to make the easy play.
Oh, and by the way, because Hat Hoot is the player who comes in, it's your standard 7-3 putout, left fielder to the first baseman. Reagan Kramer can be the hero for the Razorbacks. Winner to the championship game of the regional tomorrow.
When we talked to the Razorbacks, they talk so much about the depth on this team, not relying on one player, and you see that in this game. They come out with a win. It is absolutely a complete team effort.
3-1 to Kramer. Bree Ellis is next. Kramer gets ball 4, pointing to Bree Ellis, who has not gotten a hit here in the postseason yet.
We have 2 outs. We do have 1 base open, so it'll be interesting to see what they choose to do with Bree Ellis in this situation.
And you don't often see this. This is a full staff meeting out of the circle for Oklahoma State. This is a terrible choice to have to make as an opposing team. It's the beauty of the Arkansas lineup. Bree Ellis hasn't hurt them yet swinging the bat. Courtney Day did her last time up of who do you want to face here? And now Kenny Gajewski's calling the entire outfield in as well.
And I think that's a great point to make. If for some reason Bree Ellis does get on with a walk, obviously it's 2 outs. You just got to make the play. You have forces. But like you mentioned, it was Courtney Day who got the big RBI that really started things off and got them back in this game and the energy going for them. So you kind of pick your poison, and we'll see how they elect to face Bree Ellis and Courtney Day.
Game on the line. First pitch. Ball 1.
And I think they are going to intentionally walk Bree Ellis.
And that's a very good read by you. The pitch into the left-hand batter's box.
Oh, they would want nothing more, her parents, for Bree to have a chance to win this game for her team.
Well, indirectly she could. You give Courtney Day the opportunity to do it. But if you're going to play the odds, and that's clearly what Oklahoma State has been doing. 1, bringing Ruby Malin in the 7th. That didn't work out. But to say, okay, if we're going to face a hitter with the game on the line, we don't want to face the best hitter in the country.
Well, yeah, and I think it's the wise thing when you already have 2 runners on. Now bases are loaded and anything out, right? If it goes hard to an infielder, they just need to tag a bag. So defensively, that is the right play to make, I believe. Now you give yourself a better chance.
So Courtney Day, RBI double, last inning in the 7th, can win it for the Razorbacks here in the 8th. She was swinging like that's what she wanted to do. Runners at every base, but the only one that matters is Riho at 3rd. And it's an 0-2 deficit for Courtney Day. Now, can Nalen hit her spots? We look at her numbers today. She's walked 6, but 3 of those have come against Bree Ellis.
Well, and I'm sure there's just so many emotions going on, and the key is to just keep your heart rate slow and just stay steady, one pitch at a time. But really, any elite athlete, like, these are the moments you live for, right? When everything is on the line, you as a pitcher want the ball in your hand. As a defender, you want the ball hit to you. Or as a hitter, right? You want to be the one with the bat in your hand. It's these moments that people live for to be the game changer.
1-2. So Nalen went up, then she went down. Day, she gets the job done. The Razorbacks come from behind. A walk-off win to go to the regional final.